Good morning, 21st Century grantees. We're going to go over the ALSDE Self-Risk Assessment for 23-24. So this document will be available on the Alabama 21st Century website, and I will send the link out as soon as we finish this recording. So you're going to, the form is not too much different than it has been in the past, but we want to give you some explicit instructions on how to complete it before we send it out. So the deadline that is in the timeline will be changed, and I will send that deadline out when it is available. So we're going to go through and you're going to put in your grantee. So I am TPI grantee, and my site is the actual school name, Auburn University. So for grantee, I want you to put in the actual LEA or the CBO name. And for the site, I want you to put in the actual school name, not whatever name you've given the site, but the actual school name so that we don't have to look for it. Then I want you to check if you're cohort 16 or cohort 17. So I'm going to put an X by 16. That's what I'm saying I'm doing. So let's look at the directions. We want to calculate the scores. We're going to multiply the risk value by the weight. Add to the total for all risk values on each page, the total scores of pages 1 and 2, and the total additional risk factor score will give you the total risk self-assessment score. A lot of words, but we're going to walk through it. So grantee performance factors, and all of these are things that are in your 21st Century grantee that you should be working on, things that you have agreed to in the RFA. So your director attends 21st Century training sessions. So that's the fall training that we do. We did it with the cohort 16, and we did another one with 17, and a CEA training. So if you attended all required trainings, then you will circle or you can highlight that. And so we're going to take the risk value, which is 0, and multiply it by the weight, which is 2. 2 times 0 is 0, because anything times 0 is 0. Remember that from math. Then we're going to go low attendance from the RFA commitments. So for our number of proposed students, let's say that we proposed 100. I was trying to backspace so that wouldn't go into another line. And for right now, we have 85 students. And so that's 80% of the total that we wrote for. So we're going to highlight 80%. And so that's in the low range. So low 0 times 5 is another 0. I'm gonna make that look the same, y'all, because that's gonna bug me. I'll go back to that. Student achievement, and notice that the number of students that's going to come behind for the easy reports attendance, that's going to be on your dashboard. For your student achievement, you're going to use the student grades as the growth measurement tool, and you're going to compare the first 9 weeks to the third 9 weeks. So you could have entered these grades into Easy Report. If you have not entered them into Easy Report, then you can go back, or if you have them in a spreadsheet, I would suggest uploading them to Easy Report, but you can use your spreadsheet if you want to. So you're going to compare, and you're going to look at these. Less than 50% of students participating improved, 50 to 69% improved, 70% improved. So whatever you are. So let's say we're 50 to 69% improved. So that's a medium. So that's 5 times 5. So that's 25. Revisions. So unauthorized actions or grant infidelity, which is revisions and deviations from the original RFA. So we did not do that. All actions were approved, and ALSDE will be checking to make sure that you haven't done these things. So just be mindful, it's going to answer them as truthfully as possible, because ALSDE is going to check behind you. So 0 times 0, 0 times 3 is 0. Insufficient or incomplete records. Easy Report and ALSD reports the staff-student ratios that you should be keeping every month. You don't have to submit them anymore, but you do have to still keep them. Mid-year report and continuation application. Remember the mid-year report. If you've already submitted it and we're doing an extension, that's fine. You don't have to put that on there. Continuation application, be mindful of whatever the deadline was. So if you did not meet the deadline, make sure that you mark that because ALSD is going to know. Your field trip forms, we haven't submitted field trip forms yet. Easy report attendance is to be turned in on the 15th of every month. So if you haven't turned it in by the 15th of the next month, remember that. Grades, they're due the next semester. So be mindful, and the surveys you're submitting now. So just think about, have you done these? Reports not completed, reports late or insufficient, all reports were satisfactory. So let's say reports late or insufficient, because it's possible. So 5 times 5 is 25. Incomplete or insufficient documentation listed as the compliance monitoring document. So if you had several items missing, or you had many items missing, or you had all or almost all documentation was available. So let's say we had several pieces missing. So 5 times 5, that's 25. Program manager effectiveness, the overall scope of program leadership. Repeated lack of follow-through, unprepared for monitoring and TA visits, consistent implementation of the grant requirements. We're going to say, I'm going to switch that, consistent implementation of the grant reading. So that's 0 times 3, so 0. So we're going to tally up all of our scores for this page. So 25 plus 25 plus 25, that's 75. Well, that's not where I'm putting it. And notice that you have a column here for scoring confirmed by ALSDE because they will calculate it also. So let's go to the next page. Financial stability and responsibility. Budget revisions. Have you had 3 or more? That's high. You had 2, that's medium. You had 0 to 1, that's low. So let's say we have had 0 to 1. So that's low, so 0. Expenditures in the budget, over 2 requests for expenditures not in the budget, 1 to 2 requests for expenditures not in the budget, and no requests. Do a search on your ALSD person or your TA to make sure that you are completing that correctly. So let's say we had no requests for expenditures not in the budget. So 0 times 3, that's 0. Unallowable expenses, you had over 2, 1 to 2, and you had none. So let's say none. 0 times 5 is 0. Inventory, the inventory form should be complete and all equipment on site. Inventory is incomplete, inventory is complete. We completed our inventory, so that's low, that's 0 times 5, so 0. Lack of financial oversight, no monthly review of budget versus expenses, sporadic review of budget versus expenses, monthly review of budget versus expenses. Let's say you got a little behind, so sporadic reviews. So that's 5 times 5, that's 25. And then for the management systems, monitoring findings and or risk assessment, corrective actions needed. Over 3 is high, 2 to 3 is medium, and 1 or none is low. So let's say we were in the medium category. So that's 5 times 5, so 25. Internal impactful conflict. You had litigation, loss of accreditation or licensure, withdrawal of significant partners, and no major conflicts. So let's go with no major conflicts. So 0 times 3 is 0. So let's tally up this page. So we have 25 plus 25. So this one is 50. And again, they're going to confirm your score. We're going to take our score from the last page, 75 and 50. And we're going to skip right here. So let's go. We'll go back to the additional risk page, 75 and 50 is 125. And we'll go back up to page 3 now. Okay, so historically poor grant performance, and these are your additional risk factors. Prior grant monitoring findings, withdrawn or terminated former grants, high risk status or former grants, former satisfactory grant performance, or no history. So let's highlight that one. 0 times 5 is 0. New superintendent, this is of your district. Less than 1 year, 1 to 2 years, greater than 2 years. So let's say we had a newer superintendent. He's been there 1 to 2 years. So 5 times 1 is 5. New 21st century program director, less than 1 year, 1 to 2 years, greater than 2 years. Excuse me, I've been here a lot longer than 2 years. 0 times 2 is 0. New 21st century fiscal agent, less than 1 year, 1 year, greater than 2 years. So let's say we're greater than 2 years. So 0 times 2 is 0. New 21st century grant, first year, second year, third year. So this is my third year or none or more. But if you're cohort 17 and you're brand new, you could very easily be first year, and that's okay, because that is an additional risk factor. We need to make sure that we are able to give you more training and kind of keep our eyes on you a little bit closer because you're newer and you are learning the 21st century stuff. That's what the additional risk factors is for. So 0 times 3 is 0. So we have 5 on this page, and that'll be confirmed by ALSDE. And so let's see, we're going to put that right there. Yep, because that's additional risk factor. So 5. Oh, I moved that to another page. That's why. This is me shifting. Let's shift it back so I can get that back on the same page. Okay. So 5. Okay. So with our total 125 score, we are in the low range. So 125. And then our additional risk score of 5, we're in the low range for that also. Don't forget, we're putting our name and stuff up here. And I'm going to put Auburn University because that's my school name. I'm just doing backspace to make that fit. And so this will be your self-assessment, risk self-assessment score. So 130 because we're tallying the 125 plus the 5. And then they'll confirm that. So on the next pages, corrective action for high or moderate risk programs. And this is explaining that we'll create a improvement plan with the TA, your TA, and the plan will include resulting actions from the charted areas, a timeline for improved efforts, and a target date for reassessment of risk status. The improvement plan will be submitted to the district superintendent or the executive director or authorized representative from the CBO and the federal program section of ALSDE within 30 days. The reassessment of risk status will be completed within a specific time frame, and the new risk status will be submitted to the superintendent, the CBO, executive director, or authorized representative and the ALSDE. So then we'll need signatures and dates for all that. And these need to be wet signatures, not signatures in digital formats and not typed next to it. So wet signatures. Let me see what my other notes say. So you will schedule a time with your TA to go over this risk assessment with them, and that's when you'll get their signature on this document. But make sure that you have the signatures for everybody. And then we also have on here so you can know, which you will leave pages 6 through 8 blank. But this is to be completed by ALSDE if you are high or moderate risk status. So this is them giving a list of why you are in high risk status and what are the resulting actions. So we're trying to put it all out there so you know what the corrective actions process will be if you are in the moderate to high risk status. It's a process. It's a grant. We want to make sure that everybody is in compliance, and we want to make sure that we are creating the best 21st century programs for our students. So just here's the whole thing. And then after that, ALSDE will sign that. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and any of our TPI staff, or you can reach out to your technical advisor. This document will be available on the Alabama 21st Century website, and I will be emailing it out along with the due date to let you know. So the due date that's in the timeline is not correct. So don't worry, don't panic. You have a little bit of time to complete this form and get it back to us. If you have any questions, let me know, let your TA know, and we will try to help you in any way we can. All right, have a good one.